Welcome back to Arc Salt Lake on your Wednesday. It is now 7:31. We want to show you a live look at Tooele this morning, courtesy of one of our UDOT cameras. You see it right there. Utah is one of 5 states being considered for a nuclear fuel life cycle campus, and Tooele, it is where one could be built in that area. So to talk more about this, we are speaking with Emy Lesofski, the director of the Utah Office of Energy Development. Emy, thank you for being here this morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start at the beginning here. What is even a nuclear lifestyle or life cycle campus, basically?
So essentially what it is an industrial park that would allow for all of the pieces of the nuclear fuel life cycle once the mining has taken place. That wouldn't take place in Tooele County, but it allows us to have the opportunity to make nuclear fuel, have it prepared to go inside of a reactor. Once it's done in a reactor, to come out and have some of that fuel reused and reprocessed and then put back into the nuclear fuel cycle. Interestingly, 95% of the fuel and the energy, 95% of the energy in nuclear fuel still remains when it's pulled out of a nuclear reactor. So there's a tremendous opportunity to recycle that fuel and really build up our nuclear supply chain in the United States. And then there is some amount of material that has reached the end of its useful life that would need to be disposed of, but the vast majority of it comes back through the nuclear fuel cycle. So essentially the campus would allow for the ability to develop this in an economically efficient way that secures a global supply chain that is made in America.
Why have Utah go after something like this? And perhaps what makes Utah a good candidate in your view and in the state's view?
So energy is in our DNA in Utah. We've been powering the West for decades. And as we look toward what the demands of the future are, life is increasingly electrifying, whether it's cars, whether it's, you use your Google Maps to get to wherever you're going. Heaven knows, anytime you're looking at your phone, you need additional electricity to make that work. And so as we look to the future and how to prepare for the future to maintain our quality of life, we recognize that requires more energy. And Governor Cox launched Operation Gigawatt to basically say, what do we need to do to prepare for the future? Because today we're benefiting from the good decisions that were made to build infrastructure and to build and invest in the future. How can we do that for our future Utahns and future families? And so that's really what's driving it. And Utah's a good place to do business. We know that we can do things that are innovative and do things that are hard, but do it in a way that is safe and protects our people and creates jobs. And protects our environment as well.
Why the Tooele area? Kind of a more specific question.
So when the Department of Energy said that they were interested in states that wanted to host these particular activities, we put out a call essentially to the counties in the state and said who would be interested. We had many that were, and as we worked with the individual county leaders, Tooele County emerged as the place that had the right geology, that had the right location, had all the pieces, and it was a community that was interested in exploring this. And I think that when you look across any type of big project, community engagement is really critical, and the willingness of a community to explore what it would look like to host something is really important. And that's something that we've done with Tooele County, and we're actively engaged with them always on this.
Nuclear power, nuclear energy certainly comes with some reputational concerns. Obviously, people hear about some of the obviously well-known incidents of the past. What is the state's response to some of those safety concerns?
So nuclear energy is extremely safe. We've got a nuclear energy ecosystem in the United States that has operated for decades and has the best safety record. We have the premier regulatory agency in the world for nuclear regulation in the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And realistically, when you start to think about how we can invest in power that has no emissions, that is deployable at any time, nuclear power emerges as a really important part of a diverse mix of energy resources for our future. And so we would just say that the safety record is really good. And in Utah, we're not going to do anything that's not safe. If it's not good for Utah, we're not going to do it. It has to be safe. And we believe we can do it safely, but if at any point in the permitting process we don't think it can be, we won't do it. That's just a full stop.
And then perhaps, people in some of these communities, they could be concerned about it. Before anything happens, will there be public comment periods, things like that?
Yeah, all of the pieces that go into making these things possible have rigorous permitting requirements attached to them. And the permitting process, at the very minimum, has public comment periods. It's not just about Nuclear Regulatory Commission permitting, it's about our local permitting process for our air, for our water. And we very, very much are committed to protecting our air, land, water, and people. And through those processes, there will definitely be public opportunities to engage. And also, our office is working on making sure that we have information about nuclear power and every other type of power resource that we have in Utah available and easily consumable. We work on curriculum for kids, that we do all of it, and not just for nuclear, but for every type of power, whether it's solar, geothermal, other traditional thermal powers, where we think education is really important and are happy to answer anyone's questions anytime.
What's the timeline on this? When we would find out, perhaps, if Utah is chosen, and then when something might be constructed or built?
So the process is pretty slow, all things considered. In terms of how we have been designated as down selected to be one of the 5 states that would potentially host one of these campuses, that process, has moved pretty quickly in the last 9 months. But what will happen next is we'll continue the discussion with the Department of Energy to see if the terms and the things that we're all interested in doing are all on the same page with that. And then after that, it takes a while to permit these types of things. So this isn't something that's going to be built and ready to go in 2027 where there's actual industrial activity. It's going to take quite some time. Permitting these processes takes a long time and requires study, and the federal government has become more efficient at permitting while not reducing any of the safety surrounding it, but it still is an intensive process that we're committed to working through every single piece of.
As someone's watching this, or maybe they've seen some past stories here in the past couple weeks, and they want to know more, what's the best resource? How to find out more information right now?
So I would encourage them to go to energy.utah.gov. We have a lot of information on there, and also feel free to call our office and reach out to us via social media, and we'll have somebody get in touch to talk about things, because we really think that facts, not fear, are what's the most important thing here. And if we can give people the information that they can use to make their own decisions and draw their own conclusions, that's the best way to go about this.
All right, Emy Lesofski, thank you so much for joining us this morning to give us a little more information. We appreciate it.